weren't going well for anyone around them. They were running out of food. So he decided that he was going to take his family, his wife and their 2 sons, and move to another country so that they wouldn't die out. But after being in that country for a little while, he died. The 2 sons went on to marry local women, but soon they died. And the only one left from that original family was the mother, the wife, or the widow, whose name was Naomi. When Naomi heard that her home country was doing well, she decided to return home to Bethlehem. And when she arrived, those who had known her for all their lives rushed out to meet her, to welcome her back home. But when they saw her, they had to say, "Are you Naomi?" She said to them, "Do not call me Naomi. Call me Mara." Mara means bitter. So we know who Naomi was. Naomi was bitter. And today I ask, who are you? Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests, who are you? We'll take a look at that question first by saying who you are not, as in you are not your circumstances. You are not your history. And then we'll say that you are who you choose to be. If there's anything in your life that you've been trying to change and it's just not working, then this is what you need to hear. Because it is only by understanding what we have become that we can then make the choices to become who we believe we are. And we are not our circumstances. What has happened to you does not make you who you are. The one thing that Naomi didn't understand, and to let you know that Naomi, the story of Naomi, is from the Bible, from the book of Ruth. It's a great read if you get a chance. But what she didn't understand was that her circumstances were different from her, from who she was. They're 2 different things. And when we try to take on things that are not a part of us, it misshapens us. It moves us and molds us into something that we are not. Because the people that she had known many years didn't even recognize her. It kind of reminds me of what happens in the mornings when you run into someone who's had a bad morning, or they say they're not a morning person. Maybe they had an argument when they left home. And you say, "Good morning." And what do they say to you? What do they say?
What's good about it?
That's right. What's so good about it? Man, I hate that. That really gets on my nerve, because I'm right here, I'm saying, "Good morning." And they say, "What's so good about it?" And everything just kind of drops. But I have decided that I am going to fight. If they want to fight, then I'm going to fight. If they're going to maul me with their misery, then I'm going to hit them with my happiness and jab them with my joy. When they say, "What's so good about it?" I'll say, "What's so good is that God woke me up this morning and he started me on my way. And look, I can move around all on my own. I can see clearly, I can think logically, and I know that there's something he wants me to do." And judging by your response, it probably has something to do with you. That's what I'm going to do. Because what they're trying to do is they're taking their circumstance and they want to give it to you. But we know that you are not your circumstances. You are also not your history. What has happened does not make you who you are. Now, some would argue that, well, yeah, everything that has happened in my life has formed and shaped me to who I am. Au contraire, mon frère. On the contrary, my friend, again, your history is separate and apart from you. The great thing about our history is that there are some great things that happened in our history, right? Right? Everybody but that guy in the back. There are also some bad things that happened in our history. There were times of learning, of discovery, of growth. There were those times spent with family, with friends, with classmates, with people you like. All those things are in our history. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look back into my history. And to do that, I would have to turn my back to you, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my history in front of me here, so you'll know what I'm picking from my history. And when I look back over the things that have happened in my past, I can see my band director, whose name was Mr. Tucker. And what I'll do is I'll take some of the things that I learned from Mr. Tucker. I take the time that he said to me, Mr. Smith, you can do anything. You can become anything that you want to be. And I'll take the example that he made and the way he carried himself. Because when he spoke, you listened, because he's a fine gentleman. I'll pick up what my mama or my grandmama said to me, something that has stuck to me all my life. And she said, boy, don't you ever even think about raising your hand to your mama. And when she said it, it was such a surprise because I wasn't doing anything but watching TV. So when I speak or when I counsel other people who are having problems with their parents, I will say those same words to them. So what I'm saying is that it is not our history that makes us who we are. It is what we choose from our history that makes us who we are. So what we are doing is we are taking the best of what was and applying it to what is, so that we can make what will be the best it could be. We are not our circumstances. We are not our history. We are who we choose to be. Now some would argue that no, I am not, well, I have not chosen this life. If I had to choose a life, I would not choose this one. Really? Really? Let's think about that. And we'll take one day in your life. No, we'll take one morning in your life. When you woke up this morning, you either decided, you made the choice to either get up or turn over and take a little more time in bed. But eventually you did choose to get up. And then you chose to take a shower or a bath. At least I hope so. And then you chose to eat, chose which car to take, chose the time to leave, to arrive here today, and then you chose which parking space to take. And then you came in here and you chose which seat to take. As a philosopher, Seneca once said, we are what we choose. And J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter books, once said, I'd like to read this, that it is our choices that show what we truly are. Ladies and gentlemen, we make our choices, and our choices make us. One thing we have to be careful about when we think about choices is that it's not the big choices that make us successes or failures. It is the small choices that put us in a position to make the big choices. And another thing we have to do is when you're making those small choices, look at the pattern of choices that you are making. Are they made in a haphazard manner, or do you put a little time into thinking about those choices? Are they made on an emotional level? Think about those patterns, because the same patterns you use in making the small choices will be the patterns you use when you make your major choices. If there's anything that you're trying to change in your life and it's just not happening, then remember what you've heard today. Remember that you are not your circumstances. You are not your history. Then who are you? It's your choice. Mr. Toastmaster.